Okay, so you had both farming and advanced herding societies together. Okay, you look at what type of society Abraham had set up. It was an advanced herding society, not as advanced as what Muhammad had set up, but major change. Okay, from hunting and whatever they were doing to survive people back then, he set up a successful herding society, Abraham. Okay, Jesus, his movement was very interesting. How was he going to get the Romans out of Palestine? Back then, Israel was known as Palestine under the Romans. That area was called Palestina. Okay, it was known as Palestine. How is he going to get the Romans out of Palestine? Okay, because the Romans had control of the agriculture in Palestine. There was very few farms owned by Jews or other groups. So what was his food supply? You're right, boys and girls. Fish. Fishing. Even the sign of a Christian is a fish. Okay, and this was his movement, because in order to have a successful movement, okay, you have to have a food supply. Okay, it was very interesting. So his original movement of Christianity was a movement of fishermen, combined with other groups, with herders, whatever herders there were, whatever land that could be owned, and farmers. Okay, very interesting. The herders were shepherds at that time. Okay, very interesting movement that Jesus attempted, that he was working on. Krishna, no more eating of cow. India had good farmland. Unlike where Muhammad was in the Middle East, they didn't have good farmland there, so you had to have a great herding society. Most of the Middle East is not good farmland. But in India, India is mostly good farmland, and we're going to talk more about that another time in an upcoming episode called Holy Cow. A great farming society that India still benefits from. Think about it. India, by land, boys and girls, is only half the size of the United States, and they have over 1 billion people. India has not survived because of their farming. They've thrived. And so, Krishna said, don't eat the cow. And by not eating the cow produces more food farming than it does if you herded the cow and ate it. Now, in order to do that, though, not to have a farming society, you got to have good farmland. India has good farmland, unlike the Middle East. So you couldn't do farming in the Middle East, you had to do herding. So you can see how religion set up different types of societies. Muhammad had advanced herding society, Krishna, agricultural society. Same with Buddha. He was against the caste system of India, so he developed a different type of system. It had it was a caste in itself because it still had slavery, but it wasn't like the caste system in India. Okay, because you had slavery in China. That's where Buddhism really took off. Also, in Buddhism, by the way, if you're not a good person, you could come back. You could reincarnate. You could come back as a slave. So, I mean, this is right in the Buddhist religion. So they weren't totally against a caste system, but they were against the caste system that was set up in India, which was a major social change. You got to look at the time period. What's the major social change? So this is very interesting when you look at your founders of all these major religions, from Abraham all the way to Muhammad. Muhammad being the latest one, even though that's 1,500 years ago. That's not so new anymore, but that's it. That's as far as your major religions. And they all promoted social change. Other positive consequence, have some bearing on mate selection. You want to pick a mate that's similar to you, and if you have similar religious beliefs, that's a mate that you could possibly pick. Obviously, you can marry outside of your religion, but we're talking about what positive consequences of religion. Offer supernatural rewards for selfless actions. In other words, a lot of people do good things. They help the poor, they volunteer, and they say, they don't do it for money or anything. They do it because they say, I'm a good Jew, I'm a good Christian, I'm a good Muslim, I'm a good Hindu, I'm a good Buddhist. That's why they do this. And they're offered supernatural rewards for these selfless things, whether they're going to reincarnate to a higher level, or they're going to reach nirvana, or they're going to go to heaven, or they're going to be with God, whatever. Okay, these are these supernatural rewards. Negative consequences of religion, and all of them are guilty. These are all the positive things religion has done. Now let's look at the negative. Breaks up society, one group against another. Look how much fighting there's going on. Religion, historically, Christian against Muslim, Christian against Jews, Muslim against Muslim. Okay, Hindu against Muslim. Buddhist against whatever, whomever historically. They've been fighting. And you had lots of people been killed through that. Okay. If you look at during World War II, the Japanese, their form of Buddhism, they exterminated people. They exterminated Chinese during World War II. And they said it in the name of their Buddhist religion. It's very interesting, yeah. I mean, it seems like a contradiction. And if you look at, obviously, any type of war is a contradiction to all religions because they all have the tenets of peace and love. Yet all these religions have supported war. It divides society. Encourages intolerance against the non-believer. Oh yeah, the non-believer, whether it's an atheist or even a different, it doesn't matter, different religion, really suffered through a lot of bigotry. That's been historic and up to the present. Helps keep the status quo. All these religions that I just mentioned supported slavery in their history. Popes had slaves. Christianity supported slavery. They cited things from the Bible. David, a big prophet, one of the biggest prophets in the Jewish religion, he had slaves. His son Solomon, another big prophet, he had slaves. Okay. Muhammad had slaves. In the history of the Muslim religion, they had slaves. All of Christianity, slaves. In the Hindu religion, there's slavery. And in Buddhists, you had all these Buddhist emperors in China, Japan, they had slaves. Okay. They supported the status quo at that time was slavery. They all supported it. By the way, in the history of all religions, only one, and this may surprise you, was against slavery from the very beginning. And they broke away from the Hindu religion. I'm talking about gypsies, boys and girls. They were slaves to Turks. They were slaves to other groups of people. They were always against slavery. They never had slavery. Gypsies are the only group that never fought in a war. That's against their religion. Isn't that interesting, boys and girls? Yeah, kind of look at gypsies in different ways. And in the future, we'll talk about gypsies. We're going to talk about different religious groups. I think they're a very interesting group. In a future, way in the future, we'll talk about them as, in one of our episodes. Hinders the growth of new ideas. Yes, stem cell, all religions are against stem cell research, cloning. Okay, and if you look at stem cell research, it's very possible stem cell research may give us a cure for diabetes, Alzheimer's, who knows? And right now, all religions are against it. And it's interfering because they're very powerful. There's been less money being supporting of these projects for stem cell research. And stem cell research are probably going to help us live longer too, because it involves regeneration. Our body's regenerated. We could probably, who knows? You could live to be 100 and look like you're 50. Now, like me, boys and girls, I'm 97 years old, okay, but I don't look like this. This is a great makeup job. I was 4 hours in the makeup room, but I'm 97 years old. But who knows, with stem cell research, I could be 97 and really look like this. Isn't that amazing? Defense, persecution, and war. They've all been guilty of, except for the gypsies, in wars and persecuting people. They've all been involved in genocide in their history, supporting slavery, and war. All guilty. Okay. Religion is used by the elite groups to set standards for and keep down the working class and to lend supernatural support to the elite's position. It keeps the poor down, saying the elite, being a king is good, the kingdom of heaven. So if you have a kingdom of heaven, you got to have kingdom on earth because the earth should reflect heaven. So you support a king. And think about it. What is a king, boys and girls? A dictator.